Okay. Hello, guys. I hope you guys are really happy with the way things are going. Sorry for the last class. I am very, very sorry for that. I actually got carried away thinking I was like sharing my screen, not knowing that I wasn't sharing my screen. I was just, excuse me, sir. Sorry. So I actually got carried away with what was going on. I was thinking I was actually presenting my screen, not knowing that I was just carried away with the teaching. And before the break, I actually muted my mic. So I came back from the break. I was thinking my mic was still on and I was sharing, not knowing I was teaching for like more than 30 minutes without sharing my screen. More, and that is bygone, that is past. We'll just have to start again from where we stopped. So we have succeeded in talking about Git, we're today talking about HTML. Now we are into CSS. So let's start again. Let's just do one or two, then we'll continue. So we are trying to, if you are part of the class, if you have joined the class, you can actually send a message for me to know that we have some persons in the class. So if you have joined the class, you can just send a message and you are in, or anything that suits your mind. Okay, you just send a message if if you have joined the class. So, while we continue, but at this point of this program, it's very advisable that you make do with your laptop and don't just watch the video and just feel you have known it. Don't just watch the video and just feel that you have gotten it. Make sure you find a way of practicing. Make sure you find a way of trying it out yourself. That is what make, in terms of software development, you can't tell somebody I have done this by just mere looking at it. You must prove it. When you have proved it, that is when you will get the assurance that you have done it. When you yourself will have to get assurance, because certain development is not like some things you just see. Yes, I know it. I know it. When you do it, you know the difference. So it's very, very important you try as much as possible to look at it yourself and and practice it. That is what make you a software developer. So let me check again. Okay. So let's continue. I believe I'm sharing. Let me be careful this time to be sure that I'm sharing. Okay, I'm sharing. I think so. I'm sharing. So let's continue. We're trying to see how we can make this navbar successful and done properly. So, like I said in our last class, before the incident took place, that in terms of CSS, we have three kind of writing our CSS, three basic parts or three basic style of writing our CSS. And what is CSS? Cascading style sheet. So those three basic parts, we have inline, the inline kind of CSS, the internal kind of CSS, and the external kind of CSS, which will be the last part we are going to be talking about, the external, and is the most widely used kind of CSS. You will not see anybody writing CSS inline very well, or CSS uh, internal very well. It's possible you can see, but it might be minimal compared to the external. External means creating of files differently, creating the CSS files differently from the HTML itself. Internal means writing the CSS inside the HTML, but like creating a style block. You can see the style block here. Let me increase my screen. I hope you guys are seeing what I'm doing. Like, if you are seeing my screen, please indicate. Let me be sure that my screen is being shared. Okay. Like, if you are seeing, thank you, Angel Trauma. If you are seeing my screen, please indicate like, okay, I think my screen is being shared. I think it's shared. So this is the internal. Creating is a CSS block inside your HTML. That is the internal kind of CSS. Then remember I taught you guys about attributes in HTML. Now I said attribute is basically written in the uh, HTML element, but in the beginning tag of the HTML element. So this is what an attribute looks like. This is an attribute. So we have a style attribute which is common to every HTML element. Uh, put in mind, attributes differs, but there are some unique attributes that is common to every kind of HTML element. Just like the style attribute. You can see the style attribute here. This is the style attribute. So this is the style attribute. You can see it clearly and you can see it here. This is it. So the style attribute actually helps us. Now, how does it help us? So this is the style attribute we're talking about. So I believe everybody understands it, which we call the inline CSS, which we call the inline CSS. This is what we represent as the inline CSS. So let's continue with that. So this is the inline CSS. This is the inline kind of CSS. So let's continue. So inline kind of CSS. This is the what? Inline kind of CSS. So now we're saying something that matters, that is very, very important to us, which is now we'll start with the inline kind of CSS. We'll start with that. But before we go into the inline kind of CSS, there are some CSS that I will want to teach us. And there are some CSS I would want to teach us very well so that we will know and get it understand. We'll get the understanding. So I'll open my paint software. This is what I'll be using to explain to us. So I always like using a kind of dramatic stuff to explain to us so that we'll get it or try it out ourselves, get it. And please, like I said, this is the point you use your laptop. You don't just come and start to say, I know how to do it or use your laptop. So the first thing we are going to be talking about, I'm just going to pick the main CSS things we want to look at, the main parts of CSS. That one thing with programming is, of which I said we are going to be doing, is using the project kind of way to learn. That helps in terms of programming. If you don't do that, if you don't use the kind of project based to learn, you get it mixed up. You will not understand. You will never understand. You will not grow. That is one big thing that you need to know. You will not grow. And one thing with project-based kind of CSS, project that I have understood is you get to focus on things that are needed, not things that are not needed. Now, a beginner in programming might know some things a senior developer might not know. But that does not mean the beginner or the junior developer knows more than the senior developer. Why am I using this scenario? Because a senior developer at his level will only mostly focus on things that are needed, not things that are not needed. So that is one key part I want us to know. So which we are going to be doing? We are going to focus only on things that are needed in our styling. As we are progressing, we'll be getting other parts and knowing them, not focusing on things that are not needed. If you have been putting your mind in things that are not needed, as you are going, I want to learn every bit of section in CSS. You will not grow. That is a fact. You will not grow. I'm not insulting you, I'm not cursing you. But the fact is, you will not grow. But when you focus on projects, you will be like a senior developer within a short time of 6 months, because it's your understanding that matters, not the fact that I know everything, but your understanding. So one of the things I'm going to be explaining to us now is margin and padding. One of the things I'm going to be explaining to us now, as we are progressing, as we are doing styling things, we'll be adding more things. But the first thing I'm going to be explaining to us now is what? Padding and margin. So first of all, I'll use diagram to explain. So this is the box. So in terms of margin, this is a box now. So if we want to consider the margin of this box, we consider the outer sketch, the outer space. Now the space between here and here, the space between here and here, the space between here and here, the space between here and here is what we call what? Margin. Is what we call margin. Is what we call margin. That is the margin of this box. That is the margin of what? This particular box. Put it in mind now. That is the margin of this particular box. So let me draw another box inside now. So now let's look at padding. So for padding of this same box is the inner space between the box and its child or its children is what we call padding. So it's what we call padding. The inner space between the box, which is the parent box, and its child or its children is what we call padding. So in normal sense now, margin is the outer aspect between the outer space between the elements, let me use elements, and its opposite element or any element around it. That is what we call margin. But the inner space between that particular parent And each child or children is what we call padding. So you can see the difference now. Margin is the outer between a component and other components. But padding is the inner between the component and each child. Is that space, those spaces you can see is what I am trying to define for us. Those spaces you can see is what I'm trying to define for us between between margin and padding. Between what margin and what padding. So now let's come to our code. Let's come to our code. So now let me write padding and margin. But let me give this a background color first. So you will see the difference of red. Let me give it the background color of red. So let me run it now. So you will see the difference. So now you can see the red color that we are looking at. Now let me give it padding. So you will see where will be affected. Let's see where will be affected if I give it padding. Padding. Now, there are things what we need to talk about in padding and margin. Let's go to our diagram. There's what we call padding top. There's what we call padding top. So this one represents the padding top. There's what we call also padding right. This one represents that. And there's what we call padding bottom. And lastly, there's what we call padding left. So likewise margin. Margin left, margin top, likewise um so likewise margin. There's what we call margin top, margin left, right, margin bottom, margin left. So same thing as padding. Now let's come to describe how to write them. You can decide to write padding top and give it 200. You can decide to write them one after the other. So we are still coming to that. Let me just use 20. Now, as I'm writing them, let's be looking at what will happen. Okay. We have to indicate the unit that is using. We have different kind of units. We have embed, which is EM. We have REM, REM. We have pixel. We have so many that we can use. So let me use pixel, px. So you can, let's see now, you can see the distance now inside. Like I said, padding is the distance between the parent and its child. The parent and its child, not the parent and the outer sketch or the outer element, but the parent and its child. You can see now that the top now, from the top to the Callisto style, has space, has enough space. Now uh let's go to padding left. Let me give that same 20 pixel and let's come back. Now you can see now, before there was no space here, but now there is space here. Let me increase it so that we'll see it again. Let me just put 17 and see what will happen. Now you can see the space keep on increasing. The space keep on increasing. Let me be sure that I'm sharing and people are there. Now you can see that the space keep on increasing. The space keep on increasing. Now it's to tell you that padding is the space between the parent and its child or its children. That is what padding is talking about. So let's increase it. Let's do for right and bottom. Let's do for bottom and right. Padding, padding, padding bottom. Let's give 30 pixel. So you will see the bottom now. You can see that the bottom now has space, but at first it does not have. So that is what padding is talking about. And you can see that it's not going out. It's dealing with what is inside, not what is outside. That is what padding is talking about. Now let's put the last one, which you might not notice. Padding right, 100. So which you might not notice. You might not notice is because the right has enough space. The right has what? Enough space. So now let's do something. Now you can see that we have successfully wrote down 4 different styles. So now let's reduce the style. How? By just using the word padding itself. Now, if I use the word padding, I can write the 4 of them. I can write the 4 of them. How? By just doing 20. Okay, let me just use 40 pixel. Now, this 40 pixel, if I write it once, it means all of them will be uniquely 40 pixel. The top is uniquely 40 pixel. The left is uniquely 46 stem, 40 pixel. Now the bottom is likewise a unique style of 40 pixel in terms of padding. That is what, and the right on also. But we not notice the right because the right has enough padding or enough space. Let me use the word space. Let me use the word space rather than using the word padding. Let's use the word space. Now, that is that for that one. Now, when we come to this is just singular. But put in mind, now there are some times that just like one we did, the left can be different, can differ from the right by some kind of unit. The top can be different from the bottom depending on the space also. Depending on the space also. So how are we going to make this work? Rather than writing all of them differently, padding top, padding left, rather than writing all of them differently, we can do something. And rather than writing all of them with just one unique padding, which is still possible depending on how you plan to arrange your work, depending on how the design comes. You can still use one padding to just get all of them depending on your design that you're working with. So now let's continue. Now there is something we can still also do by writing all of them differently. And you can see that let's look at it. By writing all of them differently in this line. So I can write the four of them. 100 pixel, uh, 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 200 pixel, uh, 300 pixel. Now, let's look at what we have. You will see what I'm saying. You can see. Now, rather than writing padding bottom, padding top, padding left, padding right, I started writing all of them here. Now, how are we going to know all of them? Now, let me explain all of them. It goes like this. Here first, let me use our diagram. It goes like this. This one first, padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left. How are we going to look at it? So the 40 here signifies the top. The 100 here signifies the right. The 200 here signifies the bottom. And the 300 signifies the left. Let me reduce it to that so you will see. So you can see from 300 now, you can see that, you can see the space is there, which is smaller now. You get, which is smaller. So in terms of padding and margin, put in mind that we can write them in a shorter way that makes our work fine. You can see when we wrote that padding top, it was so long, but now we have succeeded in writing padding, padding top, padding left, padding right, padding bottom with just one line, which is not one line. So we get, so that is that for that. 5 minutes and we'll come back after the break. This time I'm not muting my mic. I don't, okay, let me just mute, but I'll leave it on this part. Okay, so guys, I am back. So I was just dehydrated, so I had to go and take water. So we stopped at where we are talking about padding. So if you're with us, you can just indicate that you're with us. We are kind of growing, and I believe so. We are growing. Like I seriously believe so. So we are taking our time to explain the core aspect of CSS for us, so that I believe in the next class we might go into building. So please do well to share and like our program. Do well to share and like, and also you can refer it to your friends so that they too cannot miss out from this wonderful program that is free for everybody to get themselves into tech in preparation of 2024. You have to prepare for 2024, and you have to tell yourself that with these 6 months in this training, I will be good. I will be good. I will make sure I will be good, even if it's to go ahead of the class and start doing things. It's preferable that way. And the fact is, once you get yourself hooked with the growth at the end of the day, you'll be happy. So you just do it to put it in your mind that 2024 you are going to be maybe okay a junior software developer in a company, in a firm, or anywhere. But one thing with all this, let me state this one for everybody to know. At the long run, get prepared, get prepared strongly, because so many people want to make use an advantage of okay, you're a junior dev and want to mishandle or take advantage of you. But please know your words. I'm not saying you should not. In the starting phase, it is good to take anything that you see in the starting phase, but there was a level that you get to, you have to stand for something. So let's just continue. So, like I said, rather than writing the padding one after the other, writing the padding top, writing the padding left, the padding bottom, the padding right, it's not good that way. So, the best way to do it is to write it all at once. Padding. So, like I said, the first one is for top, the second one is for right, the third one is for bottom, and the last one is for left. So rather than writing all of them differently, you can write them at once. And there is another one that we need to know also, which is writing if the left, sorry, if the left and the right are going to be having the same kind of space, and the top and the bottom are going to be having the same kind of space, then there is no need writing the four of them differently. I can just come here and pick 200, 200, and the left and the right. So I'll just take the last two out. So at first we wrote the four of them. But now what does this mean by writing only two? It means that this 200 is going to take for top and bottom. For the top and the down, let me go to my board again. So if peradventure we write for all of them, if peradventure I write padding and I say 200 pixel, 30 pixel, 40 pixel, 50 pixel. This is good when all of them are different. You can see it. But let's write for padding 200 pixel, 300 pixel. Now the down one represents this first one signifies stop. Signifies stop, comma, bottom. So then the second one here signifies left and right. So that is it. If you're using two, the first one represents the top and the bottom, while the second one represents the left and the right. But if you're using four, the first one is the top, the second one is the right. The third one, let me just label it. So while the top one that has four signifies the top, right, bottom, and left. So you can see the padding aspect, same as the margin, same as the margin. Let's just go to the margin. So that when I know that the up and down or the left and the right are going to be the same thing, then there will be no need separating them. You can just write top and bottom together. We get. So when we come to our preview, you will see what we have. This is what we have. So this is what we have on ground currently. So now let's write our margin and so see it. So before we go to another one. So the margin is the same thing, but now the margin works at the outside part. Let's just, since we understood the padding very well, let me just write for margin. So we'll start with the margin top, just like we did for the padding. We'll start with this. I'll give 30 pixel. I'll come again, margin, right, 50 pixel. So you can see likewise the four of them now, margin top, margin right, margin bottom, margin left. Now what will happen? Let's view. You can see now it's creating space around the content. To be sure, let's just reduce this to 10. Let's just reduce this to 20. Let's just be sure. So you guys will see it clearly. So now you can see what the margin is doing. It's creating a space around the content, the parent content. It's not creating the space inside. Margin is the one creating the space inside, but margin is creating a space around it, outside of it. You get? So now that is what margin does for us. Now let me increase it to 200 so you see. So you can see the space. So it's not actually creating space inside, but it's creating space around. Around. Get that word in. Around. So that is what is called margin for us. And also, let's go into the shorter aspect. Rather than writing this, I can just go with the four aspects and just neglect this. Just go 40 pixel, which is right, but 50 pixel, which is bottom, and 70 pixel, which is left. So let's see it again. So you can see it's the same thing. So we can see that it has created the space around of the content. So that is what this is talking about. That is what Martin is talking about. Likewise, I can still shorten it to just two. So it will not be up and down for the first one, left and right. For the second one, you can see creating the space. The same space that is here, the same space that is here. So that is what margin does for us. That is what margin does for us. Let me see our comments. Okay. So that is it, guys. So now let's continue. So we have started explaining uh margin and padding. So let's go to the next one, which is I'm just picking them one after the other. With the concern that we want this, we don't want this. So let's go to the next one, which is border. I will explain border for us, then I will go into flex, then we'll go into positioning, then we'll be done for today. Let's get our mind prepared. In our next class, we are going to be jumping into our projects, navbar, designing of navbar, different kind of navbar that we might see. So, but we can't do that if we don't understand these basic ones that we are going to be explaining. Like flex is very, very important, which we'll try our best to touch it today. I will continue. So put in mind, we are still using the inline kind of CSS, not external or internal. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. So we explain this now, and we're going to flex immediately. Okay, I might explain selectors. Selectors. And the remaining, I feel the remaining will be coming as we are building. I comment and all that. So we coming as we are working on projects, not basically as we are just. So there are things we need to consider in terms of border. Now let's just. So what does border do? It creates a kind of line around a particular content. It creates that particular line around a particular content or element. Let me just use element around a particular element. So the line comes round it. So now let's continue. So now what does the border do? Let's see our diagram again. Think we are done with this. We are done with everything here. So now let's continue with a new kind of design. I'm going to teach you guys two things with the border and the outline. They are both the same thing, but just like we explained border, padding and margin, which are similar, we will still explain uh border and outline, which are similar, but they don't mean they are the same. But if you know one of them, it is likely you will know the remaining. So now let's continue. I believe you guys are hearing me. Like, let me be sure so that what happened in last class will not happen again. So in case you are not hearing me, can indicate. But in case you're hearing me, please indicate that you're hearing me. Let me be sure that our class is going fine and smooth. So if we are going to consider those stuff, if we are going to consider what we have talked about, now let's look at the padding, the border now. We're just trying to use the best approach to explain it. Okay, let's just what approach should I use now to explain this to us? Okay, so this line I am drawing now is what we call border. The line I just drew now, the line I just drew now, you can see the black line is what we call border. That is what we call border. Then, after you have written your border, there is another line outside your border, not your border now. The border is the line round a content or that is drawn tied to a content. Let me use that word, tied to a to an element. A border is the line tied to an element round about it, round about the element, round about the element. Why the outline is what wraps the border, the same kind of line, but it wraps the border. Just like what we are seeing now, that the border is there. Same, you will see another border coming out, but that will be outlined. Let me just use.
this. Okay. Then let me give it a different color. So you can see the black line is there. The black line is there, which signifies the border. But the line around it again is what we call outline. Outline. The one inside is what we call border, but the one outside is what we call uh, outline. But they both do the same thing, which is giving line and just using line, but it is different in terms of understanding. So let's go to our code. Let's write a padding, a border. Let's write a border. Put in mind, you can actually write them the same way we wrote them. You can still write border style differently. So I can still write border style. But before going to border style, let's look at the types of border we have in terms of border style. So these are the type of border we have. We have dash border, we have dotted border, we have dash border, we have solid border, we have double border, we have groove border, read border, inset border, outset border, non-border. Okay. So now these are the kind of border we have in terms of design, styling. These are the borders we have and the type we have. So let's continue.
I hope you guys are understanding. If in case you're understanding or in case you have any issues, you can ask your questions now. So now we are studying in drawing. Now let's go into our writing of code. Now, border style, what kind of style are we going to use? Let's use the dots. Now, there's what we call border width. I'm writing them differently now, but I will show us how to write them together rather than writing them differently here, different here. Rather than writing it differently, the next one we are going to talk about is the border width. Border width, which is how big the border is going to look like. How big the border is going to look like. That is why I use border border width. Border width. And so let's write 5, for example. Just guys, so that we understand it. I want it to be big so that we understand it. So now let's come down to here. So you can see the dotted border. You can see the dotted border. Round is now around the parent element. Let me increase it so that we are going to see it more. 20. Let me just use 20. So let's see it now. Now, the next thing we are going to use in terms of that is what we call, okay, why is it not showing? I think that 5 will, but not put the unit pixel. Let me use the unit. So you can see now it is bigger. Before it was using 1, which is default. Which is the default aspect. Now you can see 5. Let me use that 20 so you will see. So the 20, you can see how the 20 looks like. So now when we come down to this place and now say uh border color, border color, you can see the border color here. Border color, let's use purple so that we can be seeing what we are doing. So you can see these are the 3 basic kind of border styling we are going to be considering. So but I'm going to short it for us. So this is, you can see that I'm not just bringing something from my head. I am actually using this. So don't think you know it all. Make do of research also. Make use of research also, and that will help us. So let's continue. Now, we are succeeded in doing that. Let's just write outline so you guys will see also what I'm saying about outline. You can see outline width. Let me use 30 pixel outline outline color. Let me just pick any color. Now let me pick the style, outline style, which is the most common kind of style we are going to be using. So you can see the same thing. Let me just use that same dotted, or let me use dash. No, I'm dotted. Let me use dash. So if we come down to this place, you can see. So now border is the one inside, but now outline is the one outside, kind of. That is what we are talking about in terms of outline. So I don't really need it here. So but I want to do something. Rather than writing border style, border, we still have other things to write. So I'll just take only the border. I'll just use only the border and put what this the style first, the width first, sorry. Then the color. So I'm going to put it here. Then take this off. So you can see we're succeeded in reducing our border. So you can see that now the first one there signifies border experience, which is sorry, border width. The first one there represents border width, border width, border width. Now, if I reduce the width, you will see it's reducing. Then the next one there signifies like so. If I reduce this now from 20 to 2, you will see what I'm saying. In terms of weight, it will reduce that particular weight outside. You can see now it's tiny. It's tiny before it was big because we're using 20. So now the middle one there is the style. The last one there is the color. I can start to use solid. So make sure at the end of the day, we are making research on our own to get this done. So that is for border. Let's just put in mind that is for border. We have studied in understanding border. So the next we are going to be talking about is flex. Then we're going to selector if time permits us. So the next we are going to be talking about is flex. Flex. I'm going to explain flex for us the way we are going to understand it. Then once we get into building, we are going to see you understanding it properly. So get yourself prepared for building of projects. Get yourself prepared. That is going to be something that is going to help all of us. So, but just get yourself prepared. Let's get ourselves prepared for it. Once we get into that, we are going to be doing more of it often. So December is going to be powerful. And happy new month in advance. Happy new month, guys, in advance. For because we know tomorrow is 1st of December. So happy new month in advance. So let's see. Happy new month in advance, guys. So now let's continue. Let's continue. So I will still use my drawing again. So my drawing, I've started explaining the same way we shorten our border, the same way we are going to shorten our width if we want to. Our outline, sorry, our outline if we want to. Is less for you to do that. So now let's go into flex. Let's start understanding flex. So how are we going to understand that now? So I will use diagrams to explain to us. So what flex? Flex is a powerful tool in uh flex is a powerful tool. Okay, flex is a powerful tool in styling. Flex is a powerful tool in styling. So let's put that in mind. And let me just locate it. So we are going to just be following something. So I've succeeded in explaining this for us. Okay, I've not explained it. I've not explained rounded border, but that is not a problem. Uh, I will still have to explain inline, uh, uh, internal CSS and external CSS for us. So time has gone. Let's just go into flex. Very, very important. You know, flex very well. You flex well. Yeah, this is it. So you can arrange your work now. You can arrange your work automatically. You can arrange your work uh, in rows and in column. Okay, like I said in our previous class, but you guys were not hearing me then, that how will I put it? Mm, okay, you can arrange your work vertically, horizontally, depending on your arrangement. You can arrange your stuff. But now, before, when we are building projects, we normally make use of flutes. You normally make use of flutes. Flutes. You float to the left, you float to the right. It will just automatically arrange. But now, Flexbox has come to stay and stay forever. So, if there's anything you will have to pay attention to, is this Flexbox. And put in mind, the concept you understood here is the same concept you're going to use in React Native when you're building mobile app, or when you're building websites with React, or when you're building Flutter. This beginning aspect is a key. Let me not use is very, very important. It's a key to building projects in CSS. So I've succeeded in explaining many things. I think we might not really. Let's just continue. So now let me explain flex for us. Flex by default, there's what we call display flex. Let me go there. Let me just write it on our style. That is what defines the flex for us. Let's write it. Display. There are other kind of display, but I normally make use of flex. I hardly write a code, a website now, a code for a website now without using flex. It's not possible for me. It's not possible. There is nobody that will do that for you now because Flex has come to stay. Flex have key so many protocols that we are using before, or so many style that we are using to build things or to build navbar you have to make use of. Before, If you're learning, if you go YouTube till now, I think there's some people that still do it. You have to use UL on ordered list and all that to just arrange your work and all that. But Flex have really dealt with most of all those protocols that we are going to be facing. Flex have done that for us. So now let's continue. So with this display flex now, by default, flex display flex take arrange your work horizontally, not vertically. So if you take a look at what is here, so when you did this, maybe there are normally once you're writing your code, if you go to a container, the containers will be arranged vertically from top to bottom. But now, if you use flex and just do display flex on the parent container of those items, you will see, or of those elements, you will see that what's it called? That the children will be arranged horizontally. The children of that particular parent element will be arranged horizontally, not vertically. So now let's come to our code. When I did display flex, watch what will happen. Uh, okay, there is display flex. So Callisto's time. So okay, I've not saved it. I've not saved it. That was why. So you can see now it has arranged everything horizontally. But if I remove it, it will go vertically. So once you just do that display flex, automatically it takes it and arrange it uh, horizontally in a straight line for us. So let's come to our drawing board and see. So let's take for instance, I have such something like this, and I have, should I use this big? Let me just use small one. So normally, the once you come to developing, your clients want to make sure that they are tracking you, they are tracing you, what you are doing, and all that. Uh, how will I put it down? But when you know what you are doing, and when you know some kind of wonderful tools that you can use, it will be very, very fast. Now, that is what we are trying to understand now. So that when we start building, nobody will start calling us back that we don't understand flex. Can you explain flex for us? So this is what we are taking our time to explain for you guys now. So please take it serious. So now let's take for instance, when I have not added my flex to my work now, let's take for instance, I have not added the flex to it. You will see that the content inside will be arranged for you, so that whenever you have the privilege to add, whenever you have the privilege to add flex to your work, whenever you have that privilege to add flex to your work, it will not automatically, once you do that display flex, it will automatically take that work and arrange it horizontally. So now, normally, as you are writing your code will be arranged vertically when they're in the container. So once I do that display flex, what will